Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties, Chapter 28.
And the thing that jumps out right away, the premise the source starts with, it's pretty surprising.
It really is. It kind of flips the script on who we normally think of as the innovators.
Yeah, it says flat out that the cleverness, the sort of spiritual and technical skill of women often goes beyond what men achieve.
The exact phrase is something like, women's wisdom can create things out of thin air, achieving wonders that surpass nature. It's a bold claim.
Sets the stage perfectly, doesn't it? Suggests that maybe male skill follows the rules, but female ingenuity, especially when aiming to please the emperor,
Is maybe unbounded, capable of things that feel almost like magic. And we see this competition kick off immediately with something that sort of sets the baseline.
Right, let's start there. The first invention presented, it's from Hicho, and it's called the Yungcho.
The chariot for favorites. And the name tells you a lot already.
Definitely designed for, let's say, imperial discretion, a kind of mobile VIP lounge.
Absolutely. State-of-the-art for its time. The description really emphasizes the build wide in the middle, fully kitted out inside.
Like the best bedding, pillows, cushions, the works. A portable bedroom, essentially.
But the really clever bit, the part that screams imperial power, was the screening material.
Ah, the walls. Made of this fine gauze geoxio, and it had this incredible property.
Exactly. The ultimate one-way mirror effect. From inside, you could see out perfectly. Mountains, water, everything.
The world is transparent to you?
But try looking in from the outside. Nothing. Complete opacity. It's such a potent symbol, isn't it?
The power to see without being seen. Total control.
And while all this is going on, the chariot itself wasn't silent. It had this signature sound.
Gold bells and jade pieces, right, attached to the outside, chiming as it moved.
Yes, the text uses kong, kang, kang, kang to describe it, like a delicate rhythmic jingling. Fine music for the entourage.
But this is key inside.
Totally soundproof. So the emperor could favor palace maids, as the text puts it, while traveling in complete silence and privacy.
Okay, so you've got this high-tech, luxurious, discreet vehicle. Sounds like a winner, right?
You'd think. But this is where the competition really heats up.
Yeah.
Jiang Tingting steps in.
And she just dismisses it, kind of throws shade on the whole thing.
Her critique is incredibly sharp. She calls it mere knife and saw work Dao Zhou Zigong, meaning it's just carpentry, basically. Nuts and bolts, assembly, practical maybe, but not truly inspired.
She even compares it unfavorably to an older vehicle, the Sheiyojia.
Right. She's saying it lacks Lingzhen, that spark of original spiritual cleverness.
So it works, it looks good, but it's just engineering. No real magic.
Exactly. It's built using known techniques. And her dismissal really sets the stage, saying, that's not good enough. True ingenuity needs to be more than just functional.
That critique really launches us into the next phase, doesn't it? Moving beyond mere mechanics into something much grander, illusion on a huge scale.
And it starts with the emperor himself, though he probably didn't intend it.
Right, the setting. It's Zongdong midwinter. Everything's bleak.
And he's complaining. Bored with the barren trees, the lack of color. He's openly wishing for spring, for flowers.
And this complaint is immediately seized upon as like a challenge.
Yes, Qin Furin, one of the concubines, steps up.
Yeah.
And she promises something that sounds completely impossible.
She says she'll pray to the heavens, and overnight the 100 flowers will bloom in the dead of winter.
It sounds like she's promising actual magic. The emperor's amused, probably skeptical.
But the next morning, what do they find?
He and Empress Xiao go to the garden, and it's just transformed. 1,000 reds and 10,000 purples, the text says, like clusters of brilliant embroidery.
It looks like spring has just exploded overnight.
Absolutely. A total defiance of the season.
But of course, this wasn't divine intervention, was it? This is where the real artistry comes in.
Yeah.
How do they actually pull this off?
It was all down to meticulous craft, scissors, thread, and a lot of late nights.
Made fake flowers.
Painstakingly cut from 5-colored silk and satin, Nusei Duan. Then they tied every single one onto the bare branches of the trees.
Wow. The emperor figures it out right. He checks a crabapple tree.
He does. He realizes it's an illusion. But his reaction is crucial.
He's not angry about being tricked.
Not at all. He's absolutely delighted by the skill, the sheer audacity of it. He says the human skill, Shiduo Tiangong, truly surpasses nature.
It's the execution that impresses him.
And this wasn't a one-woman job, remember. The text mentions 16 consorts and their maids worked through the night.
Which raises a point, doesn't it? This stunning illusion, what's the underlying message? What's the cost?
Well, it's a massive flex of imperial power, isn't it? to command beauty itself, to force nature or an imitation of it into existence through the sheer collective labor of dozens of skilled women working nonstop.
It's a statement. We can afford this. We can command this level of effort just to please the emperor's whim.
That political dimension gets underlined in the celebration afterwards. Gifts are given, poems are demanded.
And there's that line from Zugier's poem, The Rumengling. It specifically mentions
That the display wrote out the wealth and power of the imperial family. It's not just pretty, it's propaganda.
So the flowers were amazing political theater, a communal spectacle showing the court's resources could bend reality.
Exactly. A huge show of force through artifice.
Yeah.
But even that, as impressive as making winter bloom with silk isn't the final word.
No, the competition shifts again, away from this big collaborative art project.
Towards something much more singular,
Yeah.
more focused on maybe material science. And this brings us back to Jiang Tingting.
The one who dissed the chariot earlier, she clearly knew the game required something more than just spectacle.
She felt she owed the emperor a deep favor. And her creation was, well, it was something else entirely. The King Xizong.
The human hair tent.
Just the material itself is extraordinary, so intimate. Woven from King Xi fine, black, long human hair.
Whose hair? Her own, her maid's.
And even her husband, Wang Yi, contributed.
And there's that anecdote about him, right? Making a joke about it.
Yeah, it's quite striking. He apparently said something like, well, since the parts below were already sacrificed for imperial service, giving up some hair was easy.
Wow. That really captures the sort of total devotion expected. It wasn't just work, it was personal, physical sacrifice.
Using the very essence of her household, connected with what the text calls divine galoo, whatever that was.
So let's talk about what this tent, this lomo or curtain could actually do, because the properties sound almost magical.
They really do. 3 key things stand out. First, privacy again, but maybe even better than the chariot's gauze.
You couldn't see in, but you could see out.
Correct. Perfect one-way visibility. Second, active climate control. It was apparently warm in winter and cool in summer.
Okay, that's impressive. And the third thing, portability.
Astounding portability. Spread out, it could cover a massive room, big enough for a major gathering.
Rolled up.
It could fit inside a pillow. That's how fine and compact it was. Plus, it apparently generated a light smoke and filled the air with fragrance.
So it's like advanced materials meets atmospheric control. It's functional, seems magical, and it's deeply personal.
This is the lengths that she was talking about earlier, right? True, inventive cleverness. Even Empress Xiao was impressed.
What did the empress say?
She praised Jiang Tingting's thorough consideration, Chong Ling Jinxi, basically saying she had thought through every possible need the emperor might have.
And that praise, that successful bid for favor, it translates directly into reward, doesn't it, for her husband, Wang Yi?
Immediately. Silk and robes bestowed upon him. The favor benefits the family line directly.
Okay, so now we're at the end of this competition. We've got these 2 amazing but very different creations.
On one hand, the fabric flowers, huge scale, collaborative, artistic illusion, very public spectacle.
And on the other, the hair tent, unique material, seems almost magical, practical, incredibly intimate, the work of essentially one woman's vision.
So the question is, which type of skill did the emperor value more in the end? The spectacle or the practical magic?
Well, the flowers got applause in poems, but the tent, that prompted immediate action.
Yes, the source directly links it to something the empress had suggested earlier, about a bed.
Right, this idea of a massive communal bed, maybe like a monk's chanchuang, a Zen bed, something huge for the court.
Which sounds logistically tricky, Rob. How do you curtain something that big?
Until now, the hair tent, enormous when unfurled but tiny when packed, was the perfect solution. The emperor saw the connection instantly.
He didn't wait around. He ordered this amazing tent to be hung over a very specific piece of furniture.
The foreign imported Heihuan Chuang.
The joyous union bed.
Which leads us right to the climax, the ultimate validation of Jiang Tingting's work.
The emperor throws a huge party, a joyous union gathering, Heihuan Shenghui, where?
Under the hair tent over the joyous union bed with all the concubines invited.
That juxtaposition is powerful. The intimate curtain, woven from devotion, now enclosing the space of imperial pleasure, that's the ultimate sign of favor.
And in a final telling move, Empress Xiao.
She politely excuses herself from the gathering. She reads the room, understands the game has shifted from public spectacle to something much more private and intense.
She knows when her role in this particular contest is over.
It really feels like the moment where intimate utility and that deep, almost magical cleverness wins out over the grand illusion. Consort Hao, And this isn't just, a sad tale. It's almost like a case study showing how incredible qualities can be just nullified by systemic failures and, frankly, corruption. She was in the court of Emperor Yang of Sui.
It is incredibly ironic when you dig into it. I mean, the descriptions we have of Consort Hao, they're almost mythical. They use phrases like Chansi-guth, basically. Beauty beyond the everyday world, the kind said to outshine the moon, make fish forget to swim.
Right, so visually stunning. Ticks that box for the emperor's known tastes.
Absolutely. But she wasn't just there for looks. The sources are quite clear. She was Nengshi Shanfu, highly intelligent, a skilled poet and writer. And Emperor Yang himself was known, famously, as someone who appreciated both beauty and literary talent. So you'd think, right, the expectation was she'd be an instant favorite.
Yeah, it sounds like she had everything going for her. Like the perfect candidate for imperial favor based on his own stated preferences.
Yeah.
Should have been straightforward.
It really should have been. But this is where the tragedy really starts, the core conflict. She enters the palace, has all these amazing qualities, and just disappears. The source material explicitly says she entered the palace for several years, never once seeing the emperor's face. She was there, physically present in the palace, but completely invisible to him.
Years. That really speaks to the scale of the imperial system, doesn't it? That someone expected to rise so high could just vanish into the background like that, utterly isolated.
And the psychological impact, well, it was profound. The texts talk about her enduring bitter rain and sad wind night after night. Loneliness so intense, it felt like her soul was startled and her eyes broken. Apparently at first she kept up appearances. The meticulous makeup, the beautiful clothes. It was like an act of hope, maybe. Or dignity, like if she let herself go, she'd be truly lost.
Holding on to her identity through that routine, maybe.
Yeah.
Like an anchor against the despair.
Exactly that. But hope, it fades. The sources say she started to physically decline, her vitality waning. The phrase used is, hey, xiao yu jian, like her fragrance dispersed, her jade-like quality diminished, just wasting away inside those palace walls. A victim of neglect, really.
This quiet fading goes on until the system itself sort of jolts back into action. Emperor Yang decides he wants, new faces? Sends an official out.
That's right. He sends an official named Xu Tingfu. His job is to basically scout the palace for new maidens to bring to the emperor's attention. This seems like finally maybe a chance for her.
But here comes the catch, I imagine, the reality check.
Precisely. This is where the underbelly of court life shows itself. A palace attendant, maybe trying to be helpful, comes to Consort Hao, tells her, look, you need to play the game. Slub Xu Tingfu some gold, some jewels, make sure he puts your name forward.
Right, so the attendant knew how things really worked. Forget merit, it's about who you pay off.
That's the implication, yes. But Consort Hao, she refuses. Flat out. And her refusal is, I think, really central to her story. She brings up the example of Wang Zhaojun.
Okay, Wang Zhaojun. Why is that reference so significant? Explain that for us.
Wang Zhaojun is a huge figure in Chinese history, basically the symbol of choosing dignity over corruption. She was a Han Dynasty beauty, the story goes. She refused to bribe the court painter. So he painted her unflatteringly, maybe added a mole, and because of that portrait, she was chosen to be married off to the leader of the Xiongnu, seen as an undesirable fate back then. But Consort Hao's point is that Zhaojun gained lasting fame and respect because she kept her honor, even though it cost her initially.
So Consort Hao isn't just saying bribery is bad. She's making a deeper point. That gaining favor through a corrupt act, even bribing a minor official like Xu Tingfu, would taint everything. It would make the emperor's attention meaningless if bought.
Exactly. It's a stand-on principle. She basically says, if my own qualities aren't enough for the emperor to notice me, that I'd rather choose an honorable death, a death that makes a statement. Maybe that way, she thinks, she'll get the recognition in history that she couldn't get in life because the system was blocked.
That's a heavy calculation. Choosing death as a form of protest, a way to secure a legacy. Okay, so she makes this decision. Let's talk about how she prepares for it, because it sounds very deliberate, very performative almost.
Oh, absolutely. It was a carefully staged final act, a conscious effort to create her own memorial. She gets dressed in her finest clothes, does her makeup perfectly one last time, showcasing the beauty that went unseen. Then she focuses on her writing.
And the materials she used were significant too, weren't they? The paper.
Yes, very specific. She wrote her final poems on wuxi paper. This is a very high-quality, expensive, dark-threaded paper. It signals status and seriousness. This was just a quick note. She puts these poems into a beautiful brocade pouch, a jinnang, and ties it very visibly to her left arm. Then, and this is key, she burns all her other writings, drafts, everything else. Only this final curated statement was meant to survive.
Wow. The fancy paper, the pouch, tying it to her arm. It really does feel like a message designed to bypass the corrupt official Zhu Tingfu and appeal directly to the emperor's known appreciation for, well, luxury and literature.
That seems exactly the intent. And the poems themselves, they are her testament. Some earlier ones, called Looking at the Plum Blossoms, hint at maybe a little hope, like winter turning to spring, but the overall mood darkens quickly.
There's that incredibly poignant line, right? Makeup finished, often I pity myself, good dreams, yet they turn into sorrow. It just captures that feeling perfectly, all dressed up with nowhere to go, hopes constantly turning bitter.
It really does. And maybe one of the most evocative images she uses is wishing she were like Willow Catkin's young Huigi. You know how they just float freely on the wind, go everywhere.
Yeah, light and aimless.
Exactly. She contrasts that complete, unrestrained freedom with her own situation, trapped, fixed in place within the beautiful but suffocating palace, a gilded cage.
And then she delivers the final blow, the direct explanation in her long poem, Self-Grief. No ambiguity there.
None at all. It's almost like an itemized list of her suffering. She names the place of her neglect 7 or 8 years in the Longgate Palace. Now, for anyone reading this at the time, the Longgate Palace wasn't necessarily a literal building name. It was a famous literary symbol for where emperors basically stashed away the consorts they didn't favor anymore, institutionalized neglect. And then she states her intention baldly. Hanging white silk from the crimson beam, my guts boiling like soup. The source says she went to her room after the second watch, around midnight maybe, and did just that.
Okay, let's pause here because the timing of when the emperor finds out is just, well, the dramatic irony is almost unbelievable according to the sources.
It really is. Just moments, apparently, before the news of her death and her poems reach him, Emperor Yang is chatting with another consort, Consort Shah, and he's basically patting himself on the back.
About what specifically? What was he boasting about?
He was comparing himself favorably to past rulers, saying they caused chaos by playing favorites, but his empire was stable because he was a better ruler of his household. He claimed he treated all his women with pu tengyilu, meaning equal rain and dew. It's a political metaphor, really, suggesting he spread his favor, his patronage, evenly, that under his rule, no one was left out in the cold, no one felt neglected.
He's literally saying, I make sure everyone gets attention, nobody's overlooked, minutes before getting proof of a catastrophic failure of that very principle, ending in death.
Did he actually believe his own hype? It certainly seems he convinced himself. He saw himself as this ideal meritocratic patron. The tragedy, or maybe the absurdity, is that the system he supposedly managed so well was so layered, so opaque, that he had no idea the rain and dew were being blocked by corruption further down. Zhu Tingfu, in this case.
So the brocade pouch arrives. What's his initial reaction when it's handed to him?
At first, apparently quite dismissive, just another palace incident, maybe assumed it was a servant or someone minor. But then he opens it, sees the expensive woozy paper, reads the poetry, the elegant, strong calligraphy, and he's stunned. He's hit by the quality, the sheer talent he's missed. Source says he immediately recognized he'd overlooked a Mei Kai-fu Ren, a beautiful, talented woman.
Interesting. So the first hit is maybe not empathy, but more like frustration, the loss of a potential asset, a failure in his collection.
That seems to be the initial spark, yes. Anger that his system failed him, failed to bring this talent to his attention. Then the emotion hits. He apparently started weeping. The term used is Xuan Ran Malaysia, like tears streaming down, and he admits, straight up, it is my fault. Shizhen Ziguaye.
But it's the last poem that really pushes him from just feeling bad about it to actually doing something, right?
Yes, exactly. That final piece titled Yi, which seems to mean something like lingering sorrow or regret, it's a direct hit. It says she was not painted like Zhao Jun, referencing the bribery story again, and it points the finger squarely at the official, Zhu Tingfu. It's a deathbed accusation delivered straight to the top.
And that written charge, plus the shock of her talent, finally breaks through the imperial bubble.
It does. Another Consort Jia, advises him he should go see the body himself, maybe to confirm the story, maybe to fully grasp the reality. He goes to Consort House chambers, finds her there, still young, only about 20, perfectly dressed, makeup immaculate.
The final, silent piece of evidence.
It must have been incredibly powerful. Her complexion was described as being like a peach blossom containing dew, still beautiful, preserved in that moment, but so tragically wasted. The emperor actually touched her body, reportedly cried bitterly, and lamented their Yuan Qin, their poor shared fate, or maybe missed connection. He was forced to see the human cost of his own system's failings.
The reaction seems swift after that. What happened to Zhu Tingfu, the official she accused?
Emperor Yang didn't hesitate. Ordered Zhu Tingfu arrested immediately, interrogated harshly. Torture was involved, apparently. Zhu Tingfu confessed to everything the source mentions, soliciting and swindling money, basically admitting he took bribes to control which women got presented to the emperor.
So Consort Hao was completely right. Her refusal to bribe him was based on a correct assessment of the situation. The system was that corrupt.
Absolutely. The emperor's first reaction was rage. He ordered Zhu Tingfu to be executed publicly, cut in half at the waist, a particularly brutal punishment. But then court politics kind of intervened.
Oh.
How so? The other consorts apparently banded together and pleaded with the emperor for a less gruesome end for Zhu Tingfu. Maybe out of solidarity, maybe fear, who knows. But they argued for mercy, and the emperor listened. He commuted the sentence, allowing Zhu Tingfu to commit suicide in prison instead. So, justice, but negotiated justice.
Interesting. Even in that moment of imperial fury, there were still other forces, other dynamics at play within the court influencing the outcome.
That's right. And then came the memorialization for Consort Hao. This was clearly important for the emperor, maybe to manage his own guilt. He ordered a lavish burial. And he personally wrote a Juwen, a sacrificial essay for her. It was said to be incredibly emotional, full of guilt and loss. Phrases like, "The consort did not meet me, who then will pity the consort?" He reportedly wept while reading his own essay aloud at the ceremony. Even Empress Xiao was said to be moved to tears. He made sure her death received the high-status recognition her life never did.